Hello friends! How often have you thought about whether there's a recipe for eternal youth? Scientists have been researching this topic for a long time, and there have been different opinions about whether our world actually needs a wonderful opportunity of living without aging. However, since this option is still far from becoming our reality, we can talk about other things for now, such as internal and not external components of human life. External youth can be seen as a state when a person has found their purpose in life, even in old age, and when their work is still relevant all over the world. This is a story about how an ordinary 86-year-old man decided to change his life, and what came out of it. Most Chinese people retire rather early. The retirement age is 50 for women and 60 for most men. This means that they play an important part in raising their grandchildren, spend their time talking to their peers in the local parks, and don't think about work at all. The restless old man Wang Deshun grew up in Shenyang, Liaoning province. His childhood wasn't an easy one. Every day, Wang had to collect coal dust to exchange it for rice, thus helping his parents feed the rest of the children. Given his situation, studying couldn't take priority over work. So at the age of 14, the teen left school and got a job as a bus conductor, and later as a worker in the military factory. Throughout his difficult life path and endless hard work, Wang dreamed of becoming an actor. So at the age of 20, he enrolled in free acting classes. He didn't even suspect back then that it was only the beginning of his creative career, which would last over 15 years. In 1979, Wang suffered several fainting spells on stage and was diagnosed with autonomic dysfunction. With such a disease, it was recommended for him not to continue pursuing a stage career, so that the disorder didn't develop into a more serious mental condition. In order not to give up on what he loved, Deshun moved to Beijing and started performing pantomime there, a less emotionally draining activity. The years rushed by too quickly, while the man devoted all his free time to his favorite activity. His family supported the man by getting involved in the process as much as possible. His wife was the director, and his daughter was in charge of the music. When Wang turned 50, he started going to the gym and working out for 4 hours every day, because it was important to keep his body in shape for pantomime. Even then, the man experienced a sense of competition with the younger performers, but he directed his feelings into his development. The family performances were well received by the public, but then came the difficult financial times. In the 1980s, it was forbidden to rent houses in Beijing, and so Wang's family had to wander from one friend's home to another, as they didn't own a place to live. Deshun would later say that those were the hardest and the happiest times in his life. Popularity first came to the man in 1987, when he became the first Chinese actor to perform at the International Mime Festival in Germany. Just imagine, 2 years later, his mime characters, which he created, were included in the Encyclopedia of Chinese Society. The little boy collecting coal dust could only dream of such an achievement. But time went on and the market changed. Thus, by the 1990s, Wang changed his profession to a similar one, where his task was to transform into a living sculpture, while his only clothing was painted on him. That's when his daily trips to the gym started paying off, and so the man continued to spend 4 hours a day improving his shape. At the age of 67, Wang starred in his first movie, marking yet another achievement in his professional development. As it turned out a little later, even starring in a movie wasn't the limit for Wang. After all, soon came his real triumph in the world of fashion, which was actually when the whole world started talking about him. Thus, at the age of 79, Wang didn't even think of becoming a model. And even more so, he couldn't imagine that he would be part of the China Fashion Week in Beijing. It all happened in 2015, when the Chinese designer Hu Shigong accidentally found the unusual old man and saw his potential as a model. Just as this designer was talking to Wang's daughter, DJ QQ, her phone suddenly rang and a picture of Deshun came up. Hu Shigong immediately knew who should be opening his new show. Since the man already had stage experience, this offer wasn't all that surprising to him, but he didn't realize the scale of this event. The old man's young body captivated the audience. No one could believe that he was already 80 years old. Soon, the video of him on the runway became viral and spread across various social networks, and people started recognizing Wang on the street. At the same time, Wang's personal page on the Chinese Weibo social network gained over 300,000 followers in just a few hours. Leading fashion houses started hiring the young grandfather for their advertising campaigns. For example, the Italian brand Ermenegildo Zegna. The most interesting thing was that the popularity that befell Wang didn't affect his personal principles at all. For example, when Deschun booked a hotel for Milan Men's Fashion Week, he made sure it had a gym so he could continue working out every day. The man shared his training schedule with the journalists of the men's magazine GQ. The main secret of this amazing physique, which any young man could envy, was moderation in meals and regular workouts, as well as a complete rejection of alcohol. He often rides a horse during summers or swims in the pool, while he prefers to skate during winters. Now he can no longer imagine his life without working out and is grateful for his willpower, which once gave him the key to being in demand many years later. Sport is a great investment in the future. I put a lot of effort into it, and it gave me wonderful results at the end of my life. What sets me apart from ordinary old people is my young body, says Wang. The old man in great shape demonstrated his sports philosophy during China's Be More Human campaign organized by the sportswear brand Reebok in 2017. The company representative explained that Deschun's example could inspire many people to change their minds about aging. People are never too old to achieve their goals. But even despite becoming world famous, Deschun's life hasn't changed much. Fame didn't turn his head, and he remained the same prudent person he was before. He eats regular food, wears regular clothes in his everyday life, and continues to be an exemplary family man who enjoys spending time with his children and grandchildren. The man simply chose not to succumb to old age and become helpless, but he continues to navigate between his family and work, fulfilling his lifelong dreams. As the man says, old age is a great time to try and achieve one's goals, especially if there wasn't enough time to fulfill them in one's youth. Age shouldn't be used as an excuse for one's own inaction. It isn't a valid reason not to do something. Friends, how do you like the story of the 86-year-old man from China? Have you heard similar stories before? Be sure to let us know in the comments. And that's all for today. Rate the video if you liked it, and see you soon. Bye.